Hi there, and welcome to another short safety video brought to you by the Motor Safety Association. My name's Nathan Kostrin. This is my colleague Chris Parnitsky. Today we're going to be talking about extension ladders and step ladders. We're going to be going over various topics such as how to properly select the ladder for the job that you're doing, how to perform a pre-use inspection on the ladder, how to set the ladder up, and how to properly climb and use the ladder. So first thing we're going to talk about is the selection of the ladder. Chris, can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the two ladders and what they might be used for?
Yeah, for sure, Nathan. The difference is simple. Extension ladders, they're meant for access. So if I need to go from one level up to another, say the top of my garage here, I want to use an extension ladder. Step ladders, they're mainly used to work off of. So if I have a light bulb to change in my house, the ladder I'm going to go for there is the step ladder. And it's really important for employers out there to develop these procedures and safe practices so you're able to give your employees the proper information so that they are able to properly choose the ladder correct for the job that they're about to do.
Great. And similar to that, or I guess in addition to that, we want to make sure that the ladder that we're using is right for the job, that it is the right height to reach the height that we're going to be working at. Secondly, we want to make sure that that ladder is the appropriate length so that we can set it up at a safe angle. And in this case, the extension ladder that we're using, it needs to be able to reach 3 feet beyond the contact point here, which is going to be the top of Chris's garage here. And Chris is going to perform a quick pre-use inspection on this ladder for us. So first thing he's going to do is check for any broken parts, any cracking. If we've got a wood ladder, we might be looking for splintering. He's checking the locks there. He's also checking his rungs, making sure there isn't any sort of bending or warping going on with the ladder or any sort of bowing. Is there any sort of worn or damaged parts possibly on this? Right now he's checking out his non-slip feet, which articulate. Those look to be in good working order. Another thing we want to make sure that we do is check for a legible capacity rating on the ladder. We're going to have workers of different heights, different weights, so we want to make sure that we are using the appropriate ladder for not only the job, but also the worker that is going to be using that ladder. So let's get into the setup of the ladder. So first thing Chris is going to do here is he is going to raise his ladder up. He walks his ladder into the garage here. He's going to set it up on a firm, even surface, and he's now raised it as well 3 feet above his working surface. So with that in mind, when you're using an extension ladder, as we said, we want to make sure that we get it to the desired height and ensure both sides are locked. So Chris has his locks here in place. They're good to go. Next thing, when we're talking about different or varying extension ladders, we want to make sure that we have or maintain the minimum overlap of sections. So this will depend on the overall length of the ladder, but the rule of thumb is ladders up to 36 feet long should overlap at least 3 feet, and for ladders between 36 and 48 feet long, the overlap should be at least 4 feet. So when we're setting up here for the proper angle of the ladder, we're going to use the 4-to-1 rule, which means for every 1 foot back for every 4 feet up. So we're going to use our surface here, or our contact point, so which is the top of the garage here. So we want to make sure that we're for every 4 feet that we go up, that we're 1 foot back. So another easy way of doing that would be to use the rungs. So for every 4 rungs up that we go, we're going to go 1 rung back from our contact point here at the top of the garage or the working surface. So it looks like Chris has got his 4-to-1 set up. Before he starts climbing, he's going to make sure that base is secure and protected from any activity below that could bang into the ladder or cause it to become unsteady. Remember to also securely engage those ladder locks. And lastly, if you're working from a ladder from 3 meters or 10 feet up, always wear a safety harness and tie off to a well-anchored lifeline or other support, not the ladder itself. So Chris is going to begin his climb here. So make sure you don't place, before he does that, we're going to make sure we don't place the ladder in front of a doorway or any sort of movable surface. If you have to place a ladder in front of a doorway, Make sure that there's appropriate signage and controls in place to ensure safety of the people working in that area. So we want to use barricades and warning signs indicating what the hazard might be. If we can avoid the situation altogether, we do that, but if we can't, like I said, make sure we have proper warning signs and barricades in place to ensure our workers' safety. So Chris is going to start here by climbing the ladder. He's going to ensure that he faces the ladder at all times, that he's placing his feet firmly between each rung. Okay, he wants to keep his body centered between the side rails as he climbs. Ensure that you have proper footwear and that your footwear is clean of any sort of mud, moisture, debris. Chris has some clean shoes on right now, so that's not a problem for him. But make sure that you check that prior to climbing and clean your footwear if need be. So another important thing to do when you're operating on a ladder is always maintain your 3 points of contact. So that needs to be either 2 feet and 1 hand or 2 hands and 1 foot on the ladder at all times. Make sure that you don't overreach or stand higher than the 4th rung on the ladder, from the top of the ladder, sorry. Also, don't stretch or reach beyond the side rails of the ladder. It could cause the ladder to become unsteady and possibly fall. If you need tools or anything like that, don't carry tools up with you unless you're using a pouch or a tool belt that they can be carried in. Another way of doing that is to have a worker from the lower level use a hand line, and you can use the hand line to bring the tools up from the lower level to the top level. Chris, anything you want to add to that while you're up there?
Yes, for sure. When we're using ladders, guys, it's very important to remember to make sure that we secure our ladders from falling, right? So we want to make sure that this ladder can either slide to the side, either or side, or if I want to climb up onto this roof, I don't want to be able to kick this ladder back and have the ladder fall backwards, right? So we must make sure that these ladders are tied off so they're prevented from doing those kind of motions.
Perfect. So Chris is going to descend down the ladder. Another important thing is make sure that you never jump from the ladder. Always climb down the ladder 1 rung at a time until you reach the bottom. Always avoid jumping off the ladder. So our next ladder here, our little 4-foot step ladder over here, something to keep in mind, guys, there's really not a whole lot that we're going to cover on top of that, as many of the rules for extension ladders, they also apply to step ladders. Never use a step ladder as an extension or straight ladder. We want to use it for its intended function and purpose and what it's designed for. So never use a folding ladder as an extension ladder. Use a platform type step ladder with rails. It provides safer support and a more stable working surface. And be sure to lock the step ladder by spreading the legs to their limit and ensuring the braces are locked, as Chris has done here, as we can see. Chris, anything else you want to add on to that?
Yes, for sure. When we're talking about ladders, guys, Nathan mentioned it before that we need to maintain 3 points of contact. But if I'm using a step ladder and I use it for a job that I'm doing, it may be hard for me to maintain that 3 points of contact if I have to do work with my hands. But there's an easy way we can still get around this. So basically, if I have to go up on a ladder and I'm at the right height, I have to use my hands here. I got 2 feet on the steps, and I got my hips as my 3rd point of contact up against this ladder. It's really important to know that obviously we cannot stand on the very top of this step ladder. We can't stand on this step, because the higher I go, the less I got leaning against this ladder to support me while I'm on top of this ladder, right? So again, it's really important that we don't use those top 2 steps or the very top of the step ladder as to work off of. Again, if we need an 8-foot ladder, 8-foot step ladder, let's make sure we're using an 8-foot step ladder. And again, when we're coming down, right, we can maintain our 3 points of contact like that. We should be good to go.
Right on. And again, just can't mention the importance of that enough, is using the right height ladder, the right size ladder for the job you're doing. Always make sure that you can ensure those 3 points of contact. That's where a lot of your trouble is going to happen, is when people try and reach beyond the ladder, reaching to the side. It puts them in a very compromised position. So always make sure that we're using the right ladder for the right height that we're working at. So that concludes our video today. Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us. Stay tuned for more safety videos by the Motor Safety Association. Stay safe and take care for now.